In the midst of his 9th year in the NBA, Kyrie Irving has been among the best of the best when it comes to league controversy. He started off his career as Cleveland's hero, but was later downgraded to a Scottie Pippen once LeBron reasserted dominance upon all aspects of the Cleveland franchise, especially policies upon the court. Now, once with LeBron, Kyrie, whether he liked it or not, harnessed the role of the sidekick and performed it rather efficiently. But with the breaking of his kneecap in the NBA Finals of 2015, he would have to wait until the year after to hit the second greatest 3-point shot of all time over the 2-time MVP, that year unanimous, Stephen Curry. However, the Warriors would reload their roster while the Cavaliers, due to LeBron's influence in the front office, dwindled with meager cap space. As a result, the Cavaliers would falter that year to Finals MVP Kevin Durant, the Splash Brothers, and the emotional engine that the Warriors called Draymond Green. After this year, Kyrie would force his way out, possibly knowing that LeBron would leave next year, moving to TD Garden as he was traded for Isaiah Thomas. Celtics fans would have no problem letting go of Isaiah, always having warm feelings towards one of the greatest 5'9" guards of all time, but everyone knew Kyrie Irving was a different type of monster. The only issue is that Kyrie never fulfilled Boston's dreams, only served as a disappointment of epic proportions, missing the playoffs the first year due to an infection in his knee, and then choking 2019 playoffs. Shunned from the Celtics Organization and fanbase after leaving the franchise for the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving looked to unite with his NBA best friend, Kevin Durant, recovering from a tragic Achilles injury 15 minutes into Game 5 of the 2019 NBA Finals. However, the question is, how is Kyrie Irving going to perform without LeBron James, the only superstar teammate Kyrie Irving ever had, who is also known as an all-time great, constantly associated with Kyrie Irving for their famous comeback from down 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors, who at that point had recently broken the NBA regular season wins record. Throughout this series, we will be looking in depth at the stats, teams, injuries, and famous and infamous performance of Irving, and just like the media, whether or not all career success outside of personal achievements is due to him or LeBron James. Alright, first up, we're going to be looking at Kyrie Irving's career pre-LeBron James. And that was basically the first 3 years of his career, and I'm not going to lie guys, when it comes to personal achievements, Kyrie Irving was extremely successful, okay? Now, first season, the quality of the Cleveland Cavaliers team, pretty ass. Like, seriously, I looked up the roster, and I don't know any of those guys. I mean, I know a few. I think there was Antoine Jameson, you know, older guys in the league like that. But at this, like, come on, like, really? What, really? Come on. But, like, I'm not gonna try and disrespect Antoine Jameson, but the rest of those guys, like, if you have one good starting caliber player on the Cavs and then Kyrie Irving and then the rest is just trash, what's Kyrie supposed to do, you know? But here's the kind of important thing. He missed 15 games, which was rather important because, I mean, it was a 66 game season. As you might remember, this was the lockout season, which means the NBA only played 66 games total. Now, moving on from his injury report, he did win Rookie of the Year, and the only issue with that is that the Cavs still were complete ass. I mean, they finished 21-45. That means they were 13th in the East and 28th in the NBA at the time. But there is one thing. Compared to how they did last year, the win percentage for the team with Kyrie Irving jumped up 9% from 23% to 32%. Now, in conclusion, for the first season, like all in all, I think this really showed his worth. It showed his worth as an upcoming guard in the league, and this made him innumerably valuable to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, you have one of the next great point guards on your team. You know, he won Rookie of the Year. He was putting up like 18, 19 points per game on insane efficiency, and the only thing you have to worry about is his injuries, because as I told you, he showed his worth, but he was limited because he couldn't make his teammates better, and he was also getting injured at the time. But regardless, he was still young, and there was so much potential in this young kid on like what he could do. Alright, but now moving on, you know, off-season hits. Second season, as you know, Cleveland Cavaliers, they for sure didn't get no free agents coming to Cleveland, okay? I don't think they had any insanely good draft picks either. So quality of the team is still going to be complete garbage. But then the only issue with this is that Kyrie Irving ended up missing 23 games this season. Okay? That's a huge problem. If his efficiency had minor drops all around the board, free throws, 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, field goal percentage, just, you know, just small drops all around the board. But all in all, he did get like 3-4 more minutes per game this season, which meant that with more minutes he had better stats all around the board, more rebounds, more assists. I think he had more turnovers, but he had also more steals, more blocks, stuff like that. He was an all-star in his second year. Like I said, personal achievements pre-LeBron James, he played amazingly. But then again, this is how valuable is Kyrie Irving. Is he anything without LeBron James? And if you look at how the Cavaliers did with this garbage roster, the Cavs finished 24-58. Now, I'm not saying that this is Kyrie's fault. Like I said, they had a trash roster, and the only player that could carry this team was LeBron James. But at the same time, the win percentage dropped from 32% to 29% compared to last season. And it really shows that Kyrie Irving, even though he is one of the best scorers in the league at such a young age, he's an all-star, he's dropping buckets, not amazing efficiency, but he's putting up pretty good efficiency being the defensive target every single night. Because, I mean, who else are you going to try and really focus on when it comes to defense on the Cavaliers? Like, let's be honest, it's just Kyrie Irving you got to worry about. So all eyes on him. All eyes are focused on him, trying to stop him. And that was really the big thing here. So first and second season, I don't think you can really complain about him not getting the Cavaliers to the playoffs. Like, people say, like, what was Kyrie Irving before LeBron James? But at the same time, you're looking at this right now. You have Kyrie Irving. If you put Stephen Curry, you put John Wall, Russell Westbrook on this team. Actually, maybe Russell Westbrook will be able to get this team to the playoffs. But, you know, these elite point guards, Chris Paul, stuff like that. Chris Paul ain't that. You guys get what I'm saying, okay? These elite point guards, except Russell Westbrook, are probably not going to be able to carry this roster to the playoffs. Russell Westbrook is just a different type of animal out here. But yeah, in conclusion, injuries are now a risk. He seemed to have little impact on the team, even though the team's trash. We addressed this. And he seemed unable to raise the performance of his teammates. Now, like I said, pre-LeBron, this is going terribly right now. But at the same time, I don't think it's fair for all these analysts to trash him by saying, you know, before LeBron James, what were you? You were nothing. Honestly, I don't think he could play better. I really don't. So yeah, that's that. Now, heading into the third and final season of Kyrie Irving's life before LeBron James, the Cavaliers did pick up some solid players from each free agency, such as Andrew Bynum and Luol Deng. Now, we all knew Andrew Bynum wasn't really all that post-Lakers, but, you know, Luol Deng, he was no scrub. Anthony Bennett, his first season, wasn't the best, but he certainly wasn't a scrub either. Unfortunately, of course, after that, he was just complete garbage. But there were some decent weapons on this team. You know, you had Earl Clark, Shane Edwards, Carrick Felix. Obviously, these guys aren't really NBA level. They're more like NBA benchwarmers at this time. But hey, you can't really just ignore all the smaller pieces on this team. All right. But now continuing on, they did sign Byron Scott as their head coach in the offseason. And as a result, I am honestly unable to tell you who had the bigger impact on this team. Kyrie Irving and all these players that he now had, or Byron Scott. Because let's look at this. The first season back with Byron Scott, the win percentage goes from 29% the previous year to 40% this year. Cavs finished 33-49 and are only 5 games out of the playoffs. And now, at this rate, Kyrie Irving, he took 12.6 attempted field goals per game, which is a huge dip. He had less turnovers, more assists. But you also have to take this into account. He did play 35 minutes a game, and he did have worse efficiencies. But you have to take this into account. He did play 35 minutes a game, but the only issue is that he had worse efficiencies than he did last year, which led to worse scoring numbers. But nevertheless, he was an all-star, and he did miss 10 games, with the quality of his team still being trash to garbage. I mean, at this rate, you're going to have to look at this team, and you're going to have to take into account, you know, this team was better than the team in his second season, but it still ain't playoff ready. Like, these teams are not all that. They're not really on that level yet. You know, you have a post-Bulls era Luol Deng and a post-Lakers era Andrew Bynum. That's not going to get you to the playoffs, regardless of how good Kyrie Irving plays. Now, really, the only thing I have to address from this first part of this little mini-series here is that Kyrie Irving, no matter what anyone really says, pre-LeBron James, he had 2 All-Stars. He had 0 playoff appearances, but that's because all 3 of his teams that year were complete garbage. He had 1 season above 40% win rate, but that was with Byron Scott. He had good numbers, and he had solid scoring efficiency. His rookie season, he had elite scoring efficiency, and honestly, I think that's because teams didn't really respect his skill at that point. But now into the next few seasons, they're really starting to respect him and guard him like he's a real offensive threat. Now, if there was one conclusion on Kyrie's life pre-LeBron James, it would be that he developed himself into an elite offensive threat from outside, inside, mid-range, ball handling, passing. He did average like 6 assists per game his first 3 seasons, which in my opinion is pretty good. I mean, he's a shoot first point guard, of course, so 6 assists per game is pretty good in my opinion. But of course, is he anything without LeBron James? That's the question. How valuable is he without LeBron James? And as a result, I am going to have to say that he is pretty valuable, okay? Now, as the first option on a terrible team, no. But if, let's just say he's the second option on a team that isn't so good but has another elite player, where that elite player is the number 1 option and Kyrie Irving's number 2, I definitely think that could work. And funny enough, if we look into the next few years when LeBron joins and he's the number 1 option, we're going to definitely see how Kyrie Irving flourishes in that environment and how LeBron James really helps Kyrie Irving's career, no matter how much Kyrie Irving wants to deny it, how much he wants to take LeBron out of the equation when it comes to his success. You just have to look and realize that Kyrie Irving, based on his first 3 seasons, even though he is an elite scorer, it doesn't really show that he's a winner. Because no matter how good of numbers, how good efficiencies he dropped in the first 3 seasons, it did little to change the winning record of his team, you know? It only took till Byron Scott came back, and then he got Luol Deng and Andrew Bynum and Anthony Bennett on the team. Not elite players, no star players, but just decent players, and then you saw that the win percentage jumped by 10%. But you can tell that wasn't really Kyrie Irving. That was just those guys with the combination of Byron Scott joining and eventually giving Kyrie Irving a team that wasn't absolute trash. And then Kyrie Irving stayed Kyrie Irving, you know, reliable as ever. But like I said, this 3rd season where he had a little bit of help, that little bit of help led to an increase in 11% in the win percentage. But it wasn't really Kyrie Irving showing his worth. If anything, if he had done this with those 3 players and Byron Scott was gone, or he had done it with Byron Scott and those 3 players hadn't joined, that could raise his value pre-LeBron James. But as a result, with all that help coming in, I think that's going to have to take some credibility from Kyrie Irving's performance when the team did win above 40% of their games in that 3rd season. But yeah, in the next episode, we are most likely going to be debating on how Kyrie Irving performed during his championship runs with LeBron James. There's 3 of them, and that's going to be the second part. And then the third part is mostly going to be life post LeBron James, which is Celtics and whatever is currently happened in his Brooklyn Nets life. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. If you guys have any grievances to really report to me about, leave your grievances in the comment section down below, and I'd love to debate with you guys about that. Thank you guys all for watching, and goodbye.